Hi. Hey kids. Hey guys. Anyway, here's what you missed today. If you weren't here today, Wednesday, February 6th, here's what you missed. Prior to this was when we were going over comma rule number 1. You missed a journal and some other things, but here's what we're doing now. Mimetic writing of this. So prior to this day, you learned all about comma rule number 1. If you haven't learned all about comma rule number 1, you need to go back and see the slides and the videos and the worksheet for that. Then everyone found an example of comma rule number 1 in their SSR book, and they put that into a Google form. Here, and I'll put this, if this doesn't look like this when you go to it, then you just need to scroll down. Anytime, whatever, you need to scroll down here, and here's all the old things. So you just have to find them under here. Like here's the link to put your sentence in. But this one takes you to the examples that were given. However, I took everybody's name off of them. And I went through, and the green ones were absolutely correct. The yellow ones were correct, but they were missing like periods or capitals, or they weren't copied down correctly. And since you were copying them directly out of your SSR book, they had to be exactly right. And then the red ones, which are kind of appearing as brown up here, those are wrong. Obviously, I can't find one is wrong. And if you can't find one in your current SSR book, then you need to look in another book. But when you're skimming for those, if you skim for comma conjunction, if you find that, probably it's following that rule. Anyway, here are some things that we got. Got lots of really good ones, but it does look like maybe we need to go over them just a little bit more. But so we go back up here and see Essie closed her eyes, comma, and she took a deep breath. Complete sentence, comma, conjunction. That's a great example. A lot of the examples, because they're real world writing, are much more complex than this one. And so we got some really good ones, and I put them into the slides, and we're going to use them. So here are some of the really good ones that I got. Hopefully that's not too small for you. So we got, I tried to concentrate on my feet, but he kept creeping back into my thoughts just when I needed my balance. Okay, so that's actually, a simple one. It's a complete sentence, comma, the conjunction, and another complete sentence. But it's kind of a cool sentence. I tried to concentrate on my feet, but he kept creeping back into my thoughts just when I needed my balance, right? This one has 3 complete sentences and 2 conjunctions. So it's just the same, it's just an extra one, but it still follows the same rule. I think you should wait until fall, comma, because that's a complete sentence, comma, conjunction. It'll be summer before you know it. That's a complete sentence, comma, conjunction. Bangs in the summer can be sort of sticky and sweaty and annoying. Okay, so that one has got 3 complete sentences. This one also has 3 complete sentences. They kind of sound like fragments, but they're not. I don't know if I'm saying these right. Legolas followed Aragorn. So that's like a subject and the predicate. So it's a complete sentence, even though it maybe sounds like it isn't. Comma, and complete sentence. Gimli followed Legolas, comma, and complete sentence next to it. Their watches wore away. So it's 3 complete sentences and 2 conjunctions, just like this one, but it's very different sounding, right? This one sounds like a list, kind of listy, and this one totally doesn't. So it's the same formula almost. And then this one has the regular comma rule number 1, and then an extra thing that we're going to talk about how to do, but I think you could still mimic this. So I couldn't smell the smoke, complete sentence, comma, but I saw it right away. So that's the conjunction, 2 complete sentences. And then a comma, and then there was an additional thing added that's a simile. Gliding beneath the old classroom's door like spilled milk racing across the ground. That's just a really good sentence. Like, can't you picture smoke coming under a door and it looks like spilled milk, kind of drifting out? So if I'm looking at the formula of this, it's a regular common rule number 1 with this additional simile on it. So here's what we do with this. Here's what we're doing. You're going to mimic the writing. So mimic means copy. So you're going to look at the structure of these sentences and you're going to put your own content into the sentence, but you're going to write it the same way. And you're going to actually borrow some of their content as well, because if we practice mimicking really well-written, strong sentences, it's going to help us learn how to write really strong, well-written sentences. It also gets you out of that rut. Once we start writing, we tend to write the same kind of sentences over and over and over. And if you practice different kinds and just kind of mimicking it, you're going to get in the habit of writing different and better sentences. Your sentence fluency is going to be much better. Your writing's going to be better. So if I look at this first one, it was more simple. So if you're still kind of like, I don't know what you're talking about, then try this one first because it's easier. I tried to concentrate on my feet, but he kept creeping back into my thoughts just when I needed my balance. So there's a lot of good things about that sentence, but if we just look at kind of the basic gist to it. I tried to this, comma, but this kept creeping back into my thoughts. And I think that creeping back into my thoughts is part that you want to mimic because that's kind of part of what sounds cool. Just when I needed blank. Now in this case, she's also, I concentrated on my feet when I needed my balance, so those kind of match, You don't have to go that far if you don't want to. If you can just use this sentence frame and go, I tried to this, but this kept creeping back into my thoughts just when I needed blank. That would be mimicking that sentence. So I want you to try that. Here's the other sentence. I think you should wait until fall. Well, I read this one. So the basic formula for this is I think you should blank because it'll be blank before you know it. And blank can be sort of blank and blank and blank. And that's this kind of sticky and sweaty and annoying is kind of a way of talking about bangs that's funny. And so that's kind of part of what you want to mimic. And so then, and these slides are, again, you can pause this also, but these slides are also on the handouts and links page. So then here's the same thing. I broke down the formula for this sentence. Blank followed blank, and blank followed blank, and they're blank. Then here's this really good one, and it's kind of written weird, because I couldn't smell the blank, but I blank it right away, and then you add a simile. That one, writing it as a formula is harder than just looking at it and trying to mimic it. So here's how this worked. You have to come up with your own topic, okay? So let me start there. Come up with your own topic. I don't want to be on this video, but I don't know, just listen. So I was telling my daughter this story about how this girl named Darcy, when I was in 8th grade, told my boyfriend that I cheated on him. And I didn't. And so he broke up with me. But she wanted to be his girlfriend, and that's what happened. So I was telling her that story, and that was on my mind when I looked at the sentences. And I was like, okay, so which sentence could I do that would fit into that, I could put that topic into. And I picked the first sentence, and I picked the last sentence. And here's how that worked. Okay, so using this one as a model that I wrote, I tried to concentrate on my work, but Darcy's lie kept creeping back into my thoughts, distracting me from reaching my deadline. Okay, so see how it's very similar, but it's my own sentence. I'm just kind of copying how it's written and kind of borrowing the creeping back in kind of thing, but it's still a very, straightforward common rule number 1. Then this sentence that I really loved, I was like, I want to write a sentence like that. I couldn't smell the smoke, but I saw it right away, gliding beneath the old classroom's door like spilled milk racing across the ground. With my content, I couldn't smell the lie. Now that was weird. And I go, well, it's weird, but it's kind of, It's kind of poetic-y sounding, so I'm going to leave it. I couldn't smell the lie, but I recognized it right away. Flowing from her lips the way drool drips from a hungry dog's jowls. Because there was me and my boyfriend and Darcy standing there, and I go, I didn't cheat on him, and she goes, but you did, and then smiled. And so I picture this like drooling dog, like, hey, got you. Kind of burn on you. Anyway, that's what I came up with. But that's what you want to do. You want to take the sentence, you want to write your own content